brought to you by Portland International Airport, providing better access to the world.
On World News Tonight this Tuesday, voting in the nation's first primary, we're finding out who gets rewarded and for what reason. The Alaska air crash, the pilots struggled for 11 minutes before they hit the ocean. Will the economy keep on rolling as it is? We'll take a closer look.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Reporting tonight from New Hampshire.
Good evening. In New Hampshire tonight, the viewers are reshaping the presidential campaign of 2000. This is, as you know, the first in the nation primary, and the voters have changed the standing of various candidates. ABC News projects tonight that Senator John McCain has had a very convincing victory over Governor George Bush of Texas. And in the Democratic race, ABC News projects that Vice President Al Gore has won by a narrow margin over former Senator Bill Bradley. These are both good stories, but the most important story is John McCain's. And so we're going to go to his headquarters here in New Hampshire and ABC's Linda Douglas. Linda.
Peter, John McCain is still in the crowd shaking hands with all of his absolutely jubilant supporters. He just spoke to them. He told them that change is coming. He says that is the message of his campaign. Change is coming to Washington. He's going to drive out the special interests. That's been the theme around which he's built his entire campaign. He's running, of course, as the anti-establishment candidate, the anti-politician. They think that works. They think people want somebody who is unscripted. And so he's going to continue that technique as he moves on to South Carolina, where he's going to ride around on a bus, just like he did here in New Hampshire, and try to talk to as many voters as he can, Peter.
Thanks very much, Linda Douglas at McCain headquarters. Governor Bush did say earlier this evening this was going to be a 50-state race, and indeed it is going to be that. Let us take a look, however, at how well Mr. McCain did among the voters here. The independent voters played a very significant role here, and Senator McCain just won hands down among the independent voters over Governor Bush, 62% to 19%. But even more importantly for him here, among Republican voters, look at how well he did with Republicans. He won 44% of registered Republicans, and George Bush won 36%. So that is quite a difficult evening for Governor Bush. He's already appeared before his supporters, and ABC's Dean Reynolds is at his headquarters. Dean.
Peter, the party is over here. As you can see, the band was playing very loudly, but there was a lot of dispirited people in this hall. Governor Bush is not surprised to have lost this race against John McCain, but he did not expect to get drubbed as he did tonight. There's no question they think that John McCain is a more formidable candidate than they had expected him to be, but they are pointing out that he was almost obsessive in his interest of New Hampshire, whereas the Bush campaign is running a 50-state campaign, and they expect to do much better in other states upcoming like South Carolina. On the other hand, though, a loss certainly tarnishes the image of a candidate who has been presented to the Republican faithful as a winner.
Thanks very much, Dean Reynolds at Bush headquarters. Now, you can see that we projected Mr. Gore. He wins a numerical victory, but this is a serious comeback for Bill Bradley, who got a real drubbing at the hands of Mr. Gore in Iowa, even though the turnout there was very low. Let's go to Bradley headquarters here in New Hampshire and ABC's Jackie Judd. Jackie.
Peter, they lost, but they're happy anyway because they thought that the loss would be so much worse. Coming out of Iowa, they were looking at a double-digit deficit. One advisor said to me tonight, we've come back from the abyss. What the people here believe is that what stopped the slide for Bradley in New Hampshire was that he began to fight back. He began to fight back against what they view as the distortions by Al Gore, and that the voters liked it. Peter?
Thanks very much, Jackie Judd, with the Bradley campaign. Earlier this evening, Mr. Bradley challenged Mr. Gore to have a once-a-week debate for the rest of the campaign, making it very clear to both campaigns this race was going to go on. Mr. Gore actually accepted. ABC's Terry Moran is at Gore headquarters tonight. Terry.
Well, Peter, Al Gore has accepted that challenge, although he says he's the one who made it first, and he wants 2 debates a week. The mood here is definitely one of relief. For a while, it looked as if this was going to be a very, very close race. Indeed, if not a loss for Al Gore, but his veteran team of top advisors will tell you that they expected New Hampshire to be close all along. They call it Bill Bradley's backyard, his best state. Bradley outspent Gore here, and as you say, they are ready for the long haul.
Everybody, thank you very much, Terry. Everybody wanting it to see us their way. Naturally, let's go finally to ABC's George Stephanopoulos, who's at our headquarters here. George, two questions, one for each side. What is Mr. Bush's strategy now as they go off to the rest of the campaign?
Go to South Carolina and hope it does for him what it did for his father in 1992 and Bob Dole in 1996, restore the establishment candidate. As for Bill Bradley and Al Gore, Bill Bradley buys himself 5 more weeks until March 7th, where the big states, New York, California, Georgia, and Ohio vote. But he's going to face some pressure in the next couple weeks not to be as negative on Vice President Gore.
Well, negative being debatable, as you and I have had this debate before. But let me ask you very quickly, George, can we now call these both two-man races?
Oh, no question about it, Peter. We have 4 candidates now coming out of New Hampshire. The others may not drop out. They may try to live off the land, but there are only 4 serious candidates in the presidential race right now.
Thanks very much. Good point. Steve Forbes came in a very distant third on the Republican side. For those of you who are interested in that particular campaign, other candidates behind him. In a moment, we'll go on to the other news. Alaska Airlines Flight 261. They have been reconstructing the final minutes. And the economy is booming, as everybody knows, this political season. So we'll take a closer look at 107 months of prosperity today.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Chevy Trucks.
So what's on for today?
Boss wants you, me, and Charlie to take the new Silverado and move them bales.
Is that Charlie?
Chevy Silverado has the most powerful V8 of any 4x4 pickup.
Then we gotta water the herd.
300 horses make it more powerful.
If there's any daylight left, we'll take Norm up to see the ladies.
More powerful than Ford and Dodge. That's why it's the truck. Silverado from Chevy.
Well, guess that's enough for today.
My business runs on long hours and Aleve. I can't settle for those pain relievers that quit too soon. Just 2 Aleve are strong enough to work all day. I used to need 8 Tylenol to do that. There's a tool for every job. For tough pain, it's Aleve.
What a close call with my overactive bladder. Having to go suddenly, needing to go so frequently. But that time, I almost didn't make it. That did it. I called my doctor.
You don't just have to accept overactive bladder. It's a medical condition, and doctors have treatments that can help. Ask your doctor or call for information.
Need to make a stop before we go?
I'm fine for now. If you have overactive bladder, do what I did. Get help.
On the West Coast tonight, they've not made much progress in trying to understand why Alaska Airlines Flight 261 went down. It was on its way from the Mexican resort of Puerto Vallarta to San Francisco and then on to Seattle, and it crashed just about this time yesterday. Here's ABC's Lisa Stark.
The remnants of Alaska Air 261 are still being collected off the water. In addition to pieces of the plane, searchers are finding personal effects: a shoe, a passport, a postcard. Among those searching, local fishermen, including John Holland, who was out on his boat throughout the night.
There was a lot of seat cushions, pieces of the fuselage. I had a piece that was probably 6 foot by 6 foot square that was on the deck here. We put it on the boat.
The U.S. Coast Guard says the debris field is well contained, a 15 square mile area. A number of bodies have been recovered, including that of an infant. Investigators with the National Transportation Safety Board arrived in the early morning hours, encouraged by news that the Navy has heard the pinging from at least one of the black boxes. But recovering the boxes may be difficult. The wreckage is under hundreds of feet of water. Investigators are already piecing together some of what happened. The trouble begins just after 4 p.m. Pacific time, when the plane goes into a dive. The pilot's radio controllers, they have no vertical control, no way to control the plane's altitude. At 24,000 feet, sources tell ABC News, one pilot radios they now have the plane under control, but the other reportedly says, no, we don't. Moments later,
the flight advised air traffic control that they were kind of stabilized and going to do some troubleshooting.
The pilots report the stabilizer is jammed. That is the wing-like structure on the tail that rotates up or down to keep the plane straight and level.
The stabilizer trim system is a very important part of the flight controls, and for instance, if it should run full nose up or nose down, you've got an immediate emergency that has to be handled instantaneously by the pilots.
The pilots have time to contact their airline headquarters looking for advice.
They were merely going through checklists and asking for input from our maintenance control folks.
5 minutes after the crisis begins, the pilots again report trouble maintaining their altitude and request permission to land at Los Angeles. At 4:16, the plane is cleared to descend to 17,000 feet. The crew acknowledges the clearance.
And this is the last known transmission from Flight 261.
About 5 minutes later, the jet disappears off radar, plunging into the sea. MD-80s and their predecessors, DC-9, have excellent safety records, though there have been about 20 incidents of stabilizer problems over the past 2 decades. And last year, the FAA ordered airlines to check for corrosion on bolts, which hold the horizontal and vertical stabilizers together. The bolts on this plane had not yet been checked for that potential corrosion problem that apparently was scheduled to happen in June. But this plane was only 8 years old and had not reported any previous problems with the stabilizer. One final note, the flight data recorder on this jet recorded at least 49 systems on the aircraft. We do not know if that included anything with the horizontal stabilizer. Peter?
Thanks very much, Lisa Stark, on the Alaska Airlines crash. Any crash is a personal loss for the airline affected. Alaska Airlines had a crew of 5 on board, and 32 of the 83 passengers were either employees of the airline or family or friends. ABC's Tom Foreman reports tonight from Seattle.
Many of the families of the victims left for Los Angeles today to be closer to the spot where their loved ones died. They were helped along by employees of Alaska Airlines, who are themselves grieving. So many of their fellow workers and their families were killed. Fred Thompson, a veteran flyer, was the pilot.
We want to make sure everyone knows that it would make my dad happy to see how many people saw him as a father, a brother, and a friend.
At John Hay Elementary School, the flag was at half-staff. 4 of the students here were killed.
There's been a tragedy.
At Dr. David Clemenson's office, his patients were being told that he, along with his entire family, 6 people, died.
Every day I got up and came to work looking forward to it, because working with him was a treat.
Rodney Pearson, a friend of the Clemensons, was traveling with them. He, his wife, and 2 daughters, all lost. Joseph and Linda Knight were coming back from Mexico, where, with their church group, they had been building this shelter for the homeless.
My mom was the fire, and she'd be in here firing us up, and my dad was the foundation.
Alaska Airlines is small enough for a great many of the employees to know each other. What they do not know is how they will cope in the long days ahead. Tom Foreman, ABC News, Seattle.
When World News Tonight returns, crime and football, the National Football League's problem.
Was it because I'm getting older? All those antacid tablets I was taking. I wanted to take a liquid for this heartburn, but I just couldn't get past the taste. It was so frustrating. But my doctor knew the answer. My doctor said Mylanta. The Mylanta Supreme I found so soothing and smooth, with none of the chalkiness and grit, but it's strong relief. Mylanta Supreme soothes away my heartburn. I love feeling the sensation. My doctor said Mylanta.
My dad was a coach at Georgia School for the Deaf. I grew up in an environment where deaf kids kind of adopted me in their culture.
Thank all of you for coming to the camp today.
When I first went to Merrill Lynch, I was very impressed with Steve Malone. He was very easy to talk to, and he listened well.
So it's important for all of us to listen well and to cooperate. Every day you're building your future.
You can rationalize it all you want, but eventually you're going to get caught.
There's a tan minivan in the parking lot with its lights on. Whoever owns the tan minivan, your lights are on.
Okay, you're busted. It's time to check out the redesigned Mitsubishi Montero Sport. It's only the family car, when the family's in it.
Good boy, Simon. When your dog is the star of a syndicated comic strip, you get lots of fan mail.
Okay, Simon gets most of it.
When we ran the strip where Simon snubs his food, people sent all kinds of dog food. I read the labels, and in every bag of Purina One brand beef and rice formula, beef is the #1 ingredient. In lots of designer dog foods, it's corn. So I let Simon try Purina One. I'd say it went over pretty well. Purina One, second to none.
In Atlanta today, Ray Lewis of the Baltimore Ravens, one of the National Football League stars, has been charged with murder. He is the second player charged in only 6 weeks. Here's ABC's Aaron Brown.
NFL star Ray Lewis stood in an Atlanta court in the uniform of an accused felon. Instead of the Pro Bowl, the league's leading tackler faces charges of stabbing 2 people outside an Atlanta club early Monday. It has been that kind of year for the NFL. There was Miami's Cecil Collins' arrest for breaking into a woman's apartment. The Colts' Steve Muhammad arrested for choking his wife. And most notably, Carolina's Ray Caruth, who faces a possible death sentence if convicted of plotting the murder of his pregnant girlfriend.
Can we predict when a player, such as a Ray Caruth, is going to have a problem? Of course not.
Statistically, NFL players are less likely to have problems with the law than young men as a whole. But image is something else. And while concern for its image led the league to ban the throat-slashing gesture, it has always been willing to sign potential stars, the Lawrence Phillips, the Christian Peters, even if they had been convicted of violent crimes.
It's a sport driven by winning. Guys lose their jobs, coaches lose their jobs every day because they didn't win, not because they built good character.
The league has an anti-violence program, but while Ray Lewis was accused of punching a woman, he was never arrested and so not required to participate. Today, that's something the league and Lewis may have reason to regret. Aaron Brown, ABC News, New York.
Just one other note from the NFL. Dick Vermeil, coach of the St. Louis Rams, said today that he is retiring. He won his first Super Bowl, as everybody must know, on Sunday. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was up more than 100 points to close at 11,041. On the NASDAQ, stocks were up more than 111 points. When we come back, it's the economy. After a record 9 years of prosperity, we'll take a closer look.
Oh, I should have used Preparation H. Cool it fast with Preparation H Cooling Gel. Cools on contact for fast relief. Preparation H Cooling Gel cools on contact.
Will extra amenities in your life lead to greater happiness? Are 64 crayons in a box better than 8? Is there such a thing as too many cable channels? Introducing the all-new, redesigned Avalon, the most luxurious, most refined sedan we've ever created.
Good evening, sir. Your finest table? Reservation. Perhaps you'll find it under Washington. George Washington? Sir, that's only $1. Only $1. Don't you know that with 10, 10, 220, all calls up to 20 minutes are only 99 cents, and just 7 cents a minute after that. Plus, there's no monthly fee. Great rates and no monthly fee? All day, every day. Oh. Walk this way.
Dial 1010-220.
Nature made me a person of many parts. Nature made me determined to make all of them last. And thankfully, to help, there are premium quality nature-made vitamins and herbs, like vitamin C, which research shows can help keep my immune system strong. There's no stopping me, because nature made me.
Man, what rhymes with elation?
Creation.
Temptation. Cool. Dividend, reinvestment, participation. Market capitalization. European market fluctuation. Industry globalization. Asset allocation. What?
When we created a smarter kind of investment firm, we created a smarter kind of investor.
Too many syllables?
When we were here in New Hampshire for the 1992 presidential primary, this state was in very deep economic trouble. "It's the economy, stupid," was a slogan that carried Bill Clinton to victory through all sorts of troubles. And now, today, officially, the country's come through the longest period of sustained growth in the nation's history, 107 months. And those people who have done well seem to believe that it is going to go on and on. We're going to take a closer look tonight. First of all, here is ABC's Betsy Stark.
American businesses have poured $2 trillion into technology during this economic boom. Computer hardware, software, robots, electronic commerce. And the investment has paid off in the best productivity gains in a generation. 25 years ago, it took Johnson Controls a week to turn around an order for a car seat. Today, about 2.5 hours. Using technology to get more done in less time without passing the cost on to the consumer is a hallmark of the new economy, and analysts say the biggest gains are still to come. At Johnson Controls, a virtual reality lab now makes it possible for car companies to test drive a new vehicle in any weather conditions on any road in the country without spending the time or money to build an actual prototype.
Today it takes 2 to 4 years to develop a car. We believe we can lower it down to somewhere between 12 and 18 months.
And it's not just huge companies that are betting on smart machines to keep this boom going.
For the most part, they do just about everything.
The Diamond Casting and Machine Company in New Hampshire spends up to $1 million of the $6 million it makes in sales every year, finding new ways to increase its output without increasing labor costs.
We've got about the same number of employees as we had 10 years ago, but we're producing about twice, maybe 3 times as much as we used to.
Increasingly, the key to growth in this new economy is getting hard to find workers and the technology they operate to do more. Betsy Stark, ABC News, New York.
Overall, that's the optimistic view, but we also know that for a large number of people, especially in the middle class, these economic good times have meant something less. All sorts of people whose salaries have barely kept up with inflation. Their dreams, as we reported before, have not been realized. And surely the boom will end. Booms always do. Here's ABC's Bob Jamieson.
If the end comes, it will most likely begin here. Since the economic expansion began, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up more than 270%. The NASDAQ up more than 700%.
If the stock market goes down and stays down for a period of at least 6 to 9 months, then that will trigger, I think, a series of cascading events that could really put the economic expansion in significant jeopardy.
The stock market has fueled the strong consumer spending, partly responsible for the economy's robust growth. A sustained stock market decline would bring a dramatic slowdown. If that doesn't end the boom, inflation will. Here's why. That expansion has driven down the unemployment rate to its lowest level in a generation. Growing businesses are scrambling to find and keep workers.
There are some signs already that employers are competing for workers, are having to pay more for labor. And, of course, once they have to pay more for labor, they're going to have to raise the prices of their products.
Higher wages and higher prices would surely bring more aggressive action from Chairman Alan Greenspan and the Federal Reserve. That means higher and higher interest rates. That would certainly slow the economy. Economists are not certain which of these problems will end the boom. But if history is any guide, one of them probably will. Bob Jamieson, ABC News, New York.
You can say nice things and bad things about economists, but a number of prominent economists offer their analysis at our website, abcnews.com. And when we return from New Hampshire, the presidential campaigns are about to change. It's the end of retail politics right here.
My joints felt locked up. Then I tried Osteo-Biflex. It's a natural supplement that repairs cartilage and lubricates joints over time. It works for me.
Osteo-Biflex. Repair, rebuild, renew.
If you wear dentures, imagine how nervous teaching teenagers could make you feel. What if your dentures slipped? But thanks to the all-day hold of Super Polygrip, those days are over. I think that says a lot about the power of Polygrip.
An important study has shown that 3 cups of Cheerios whole grain oats a day added to a low-fat diet can actually help reduce your cholesterol. Just think of them as little life preservers. The one and only Cheerios to help reduce your cholesterol.
Hosting a major golf tournament takes a lot of preparation, and no one knows that better than Arnold Palmer. Just ask Susan, his manager. With just one call, Office Depot delivers everything she needs to file dozens of registration forms and stacks of publicity folders. Yet even with all the last-minute details, Susan still finds time to take on an even bigger challenge. 18 holes with the boss.
Taking care of business.
Office Depot, taking care of business.
I was miserable. My antacid didn't do the whole job. Then I tried Alka-Seltzer.
Only Alka-Seltzer relieves heartburn and pain and has the effervescent power to speed relief.
It made a believer out of me.
Get better relief. Get Alka-Seltzer.
It's cases like this.
What went on here?
That make you want more.
7 DOAs, all of them naked.
They were naked?
Buck naked.
Count on a whole new Blue every Tuesday.
You think we're going to toy with you?
All new NYPD Blue ABC tonight. Viewer discretion advised.
Coming up next, a tragedy in the sky hits close to home as Northwest folks mourn the loss of loved ones aboard the Alaska Airlines jet. Plus, imagine climbing aboard a plane hours after a big crash. Travelers at PDX are doing just that. I'm Kathy Marshall. Local News is next.
Finally this evening, as I said, moving on. There's an old story here in New Hampshire about two guys in a coffee shop. One asked the other, what do you think of X as a presidential candidate? His friend says, I don't know yet. I've only met him 3 times. New Hampshire presidential politics in a phrase. Lots of meet and greet. But the campaigns are about to leave this state, and so much will change. Here's ABC's Jim Wooten.
Gentlemen, please welcome the next President of the United States. This is retail politics. The politics that have made New Hampshire famous.
God bless you. We need you.
And lifted Senator McCain from long shot to the front row.
And without that, where would you be here? We wouldn't be anywhere. Nowhere. Nowhere.
But that's all over now. Tomorrow, McCain and the others, those who survive, will strike out on an entirely different sort of campaign, with lots of big state primaries too bunched up for anything other than quick airport visits and huge formal rallies and an expensive saturation of television ads. In other words, retail is dead. From here on, it's wholesale.
Up here,
Welcome to snowy New Hampshire.
it sometimes seemed they were all running for sheriff or the city council.
We picked up some supporters here.
And this close to the voters,
Thank you all for coming.
the campaign can sometimes get a little wacky.
Which one he wants to speak, you or the shark?
And sometimes a little weird. Look at this guy with Governor Bush. And watch this woman wish Bill Bradley good luck. But the campaign's moving to another level now, and Senator McCain, probably the best retailer in the bunch, will have to translate some of this folksy style into a broader television message. Shift gears against Governor Bush, whose $60 million probably makes him the best wholesaler in the bunch. Jim Wooten, ABC News, Manchester.
By the way, it turns out that graphic earlier in the broadcast was right. ABC News now projects that Al Gore wins a narrow victory over Bill Bradley, which, given what happened in Iowa for Mr. Bradley, is actually pretty good news for Mr. Bradley. But that's our projection on the Democratic side. And that's our report on World News Tonight. You can look at all the analysis on abcnews.com. Join us throughout the evening and on Nightline. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night from New Hampshire.
From ABC News, tomorrow, the first votes are in and counted. Who's leading the race now? And what's next on the road to the presidency? Good Morning America, live from New Hampshire tomorrow. And on World News Tonight, protecting the nation from a deadly disease. The new threat to the blood supply. Watch World News Tonight.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Channel 2 News is brought to you by Teplick Laser Surgery Centers. You're watching KATU Portland.